We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Free Association Radio. This is the Friday FARcast. It's 2 hours on your Friday, where we bring people on to this format and talk with them about various things. Anything from what we call conspiracy to music and art to cosmic consciousness and life here on this planet, and how some people are doing their best to carve out a purpose-filled life in the midst of one of the most trying and challenging times we've seen in this country in quite a long time. And today, I'm going to be talking with two women that are doing just that in their own way, in various sort of, I guess, iterations. They're going about it in different ways. Let's put it that way, but not so different. I think the theme here is service and wanting to help and you know, and enlighten, teach, whatever. But I think they both share Pluto and Virgo, which would be the connecting node. But both, you know, both engaged in the act of finding their purpose and helping others find their purpose as well. And I'm speaking of Denise Carrigg, who's going to be on first, and then following her, Sarah Nash, a.k.a. Cosmic Hooker, a very popular guest, by the way. People have asked about Sarah numerous times, and we're going to talk to her about an event she's staging up in the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to be talking with Denise shortly about life coaching, and not just life coaching, spiritual life coaching. And Denise is a pretty interesting person. She comes from a Catholic background. She's actually reclaimed her Catholic roots in an age where we are defaming religion and doing our very best to say that God does not exist, while excommunicating the visage of Jesus from the Western cosmology. Denise has retraced her footsteps, her sacred footsteps, and has refound her faith. We're going to find out what role that might even play in her life coaching, as well as making the transition from being somebody who is engaged in a profession that brings in money to moving to something on more of a full-time basis, where they're actually living their passion and doing it full time. And we all go through those moments. You know, I don't think you wake up one day, and maybe some people do, they wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this, they do it, they get it done, and bang, they're that. But what I've noticed, especially with Pluto and Virgo, we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, with Denise. So a lot of Pluto and Virgo people have done a lot of different jobs, right? They've done bartending, waitressing, stripping, flower delivery, you name it, Pluto and Virgo people have done it. And I think a reason why that we've done these things is because we've wanted to accumulate as much life experience as possible so that we can have a wide palette, as broad a palette as possible to be able to assist and help people with. And so, yes, we're going to be moving from one position to another. The impetus for this show, by the way, when I first thought about it, was I wanted to, Venus has gone direct. And we've been part of this Venus transit, right? The Venus transit, Venus retrograde, and then Venus going across the sun. And, Facebook, it's been buzzing with, this whole concept of the divine feminine or the sacred feminine. And I was like, okay, well, let me get into that. Let me bring the sacred feminine to the fore. Let's talk to some women who are living sacred lives and see what that looks like. Let's have a dialogue with manifestations of the sacred feminine. So this is how the genesis of the show started. It all kind of happened, and I was going to bring somebody else on, and they're not quite ready to bring their piece to the show. And then I was going to bring somebody else on, and I want to talk about this other person really quickly, and then transition over and bring Denise onto the show. A good friend of mine, Dora McQuaid, who's been on the show before. She's a poet. Dora was an alumnus, or she is an alumnus of Penn State. And Dora, so everybody's been, most of you know Jerry Sandusky in the Sandusky trial, right? You know about it. If you don't know about it, you need to know about it. It's not pretty. A lot of people don't like to look at things that aren't pretty. Anyway, Jerry Sandusky was on a mural at Penn State, a very important mural theoretically. It was the mural that showed, the key people in the lineage of Penn State, and he was on there. Well, he got removed, and he was replaced by Dora, my friend Dora, who is an advocate of, an activist actually, for sexual abuse, domestic violence, done a lot of great work in those areas, was actually honored by the governor of Pennsylvania for her work in dealing with men in the prison system, and just an absolutely brave soul. Anyway, she's on that mural now, and I wanted to bring her on the show to talk about that. We're going to bring her on at another time, and we're going to do a whole show around this with her, because some of the things you're going to hear will blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind. So she'll be on eventually. But today it's Denise. And today it's Sarah Nash, a.k.a. the Cosmic Hooker. And we have a new sheriff in the chat room, by the way. Erica Ahonen is the hostess with the mostest. And she's got her finger on the trigger, and she will eject you from the chat room if you are not playing nice. Okay? So if you're trolling in the chat room, beware. Beware. Because you could leave. She's got my permission to pull the ripcord on anybody in there that's being a jerk. Okay? So I want to thank her for doing that as well. All right. So let's get into it. Let's bring on Denise. Let's talk about what she does as a spirit-centered life coach and why it might be important for you to consider working with a life coach. And I think it's important. I see people work with physical trainers all the time, and the amount of progress that they make with physical trainers is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. So if you can get physical training, why not spiritual training or metaphysical training? All right, let's bring Denise on. Hey, Denise.
Hey, how are you, Robert?
I'm good. Thanks for being on with us today.
Hey, very welcome.
So here we are, and what I wanted to do, Denise, is kind of set the stage for people and give them kind of a sense of who you are, because I think it's important. And you and I have met And I was really intrigued by you, by your energy, by your passion. Very passionate person, and your spirit. You've got an incredible spirit. And I was also intrigued by this kind of rediscovery of your Catholicism, and because we're dealing with kind of the really dark nature or the dark story or the dark history of Catholicism with the Vatican and this current Pope, but there's a whole other side of this, and in terms of its rich rituals and there's a mystical quality to the Catholic tradition that I think has gotten lost, especially after Vatican II. So what I wanted to do is find out a little bit more about you, and also kind of explore this Catholic piece, and then tie it into life coaching. Let's ramp up, and we'll get into the life coaching thing.
Okay, sounds good.
So,
go ahead.
No, the floor is yours. Let's hear. So let's talk about the reformation of your own faith. I think that's a great place to start.
Okay, well, just to give a bit of background, I was raised Catholic in kind of a very traditional family. We actually ended up living in Fatima, Portugal, which is like a Catholic pilgrimage site, for some years when I was like 11 until I was like 14 years old. And then actually my father died there of a heart attack, and we came back to the States, to our home that we had in California. And then basically what happened was I started college when I was like 16 years old, and became exposed to a lot of kind of the basic ideas about Freud and Marx and kind of atheistic kind of philosophies and stuff. I had like a kind of an influential professor. And so I kind of began to doubt like what I had been taught about God, about the existence of the spiritual world, about the higher dimensions of things. And I started to think, well, maybe it is only this life, only this kind of flat existence. And so I kind of went through pretty much a spiritual crisis. And for a number of years, like in my 20s, I pretty much considered myself, an agnostic/atheist. But I was always interested, like, in the deeper questions, like the meaning of life, like why are we here and stuff like that. And I was always reading philosophy and religion and things like that, just trying to see what was true. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up kind of in Buddhism. I was never really officially a Buddhist, but I got involved in San Francisco with the Tibetan Buddhist folks. Mm-hmm. And kind of went to different, readings and rituals and things like that, and read a lot about Zen and things like that. And then what happened to me personally was like when I was about 20, I think it was 28 or 29, kind of some synchronicities that were very powerful happened to me kind of all at once and kind of in succession. Like I remember reading somewhere that I was in Jungian analysis at the time, and I remember reading that Carl Jung, his advice to Catholics was to go back to the church if they could, mm-hmm. because he thought the fundamental structures of dealing with the unconscious and these deeper things is already kind of in place there with the rituals and with the philosophy. And then the other thing was I happened to run across a book in actually a New Age bookstore called Meditations on the Tarot, A Journey into Christian Hermeticism. And it was a very powerful book that kind of helped me in my own way, kind of created a mental bridge between the esoteric and the exoteric.
I've seen that book, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's actually a very extraordinary book. I mean, it's profound. It's kind of heady. The guy is like a really kind of a scholarly type. Mm-hmm. But it's great if you just want to just pick it up and just kind of go slowly and thoughtfully through it, but don't try to feel like you've got to race through it at all.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it was very, very helpful for me because it started to kind of make me just kind of wonder if there was a way that I could go back to the Catholic Church, or if that's where my direction really was supposed to go, So that kind of started me thinking like that. And then another thing was I happened to overhear these guys talking about this one Catholic priest in the Castro district, of all things, of San Francisco, who said the Mass in Latin and also was getting his PhD at the Integral Studies, California Institute of Integral Studies in Asian Studies. And so I connected with him, and then I just decided to just go back to the church. It was kind of like I was meant to, so I just did. and kind of went to confession, and which is what Catholics do when they return, and then kind of just started over in a certain way. And I felt like a real deep sense of rebirth. And then I just started really deeply trying to understand my faith and read the mystics, St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa of Avila, and try to live the teachings as best I could. Mm-hmm. So it's just been a process of, like, discovery and kind of maybe, finding out who I am, too, on a deeper level by reconnecting with my roots, but mm-hmm. choosing to reconnect, not just believing it because my parents told me so, but because I understand now why it's important to me.
Right. So you developed your own relationship to it.
Yeah, and it came organically and also kind of through synchronicities and signs kind of showing me this is the way. Mm-hmm. And so I just followed it.
Which is very much the mystic's path. So was this happening concurrently as you decided that you wanted to be of service and be a life coach? Or?
No. Oh, sorry. No, that happened later. That's been more recent, like the last, like I'd say 5, 6, years, maybe 5 or 6 years. What happened with that was, I work for a publishing house in San mm-hmm. Francisco, and I'm a sales rep, so I'm on the phone with people, from all different walks of life who are, like, buying books or whatever they're doing. But I just noticed for myself that the people where I would have these connections with some of my accounts, I would have, like, these deeper conversations about life, about things that kind of matter in a deeper way. And I would find out how enriching that was for me and for them. They would often be very powerful conversations. And so I just kind of thought, I need more of this, and I feel like I could help people in a deeper way that would tap, like, my strengths in a deeper way and be a greater service if I could find some way to connect like that. And so what I did was I went to there's a center here called Mercy Center Burlingame where they offer, like, a certification in spiritual direction. Mm-hmm. So I thought I would sign up with that. I did 1 year of it. And then I got the idea of coaching somehow. I don't even know how it really came to me. But I thought, well, maybe that's the way that I could do it. I could just be a coach and help people with whatever they're facing in their life for, a month, 3 months, a year, whatever time they want to spend with me, where I could just kind of support them in hopefully, leading more and more an authentic life and to help them discern their own path and their own way. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it happened. And so right now, I'm working still at my job at the publishing house, but then I'm also, dealing with clients on the side, Mm-hmm. So it kind of works out fine, actually, for now in this kind of way, because I have a lot of, free time at this point in my life.
Right. So in terms of training, give people a sense as to what it would take, what it's taken you to get this far so that you can professionally be available for people and really be an efficient and empowering life coach. What have you done to this point to get to the point where you're working with people?
Well, the thing is, right now, life coaching, I think it's been around for probably, 15 years or something like that, as a profession. So it's fairly new. And even though it's becoming more well-known, there isn't really a standard certification that's required to be able to be a life coach. People come from all walks of life to life coaching, former trainers, former career counselors, people in different, even people that were police officers. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of people that feel drawn to help other people and feel like they've got some kind of a gift to do that. Often through some objective feedback of people saying, hey, that really helped me when you talked with me about blah, 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 or whatever. So, or people coming up to you, off the street and stuff like that, a lot. So, so in other words, there's not yet in place any kind of, like, professional certification that you absolutely have to become a life coach. Mm-hmm. So the door's kind of open in a way. There are, training schools that you can go to and certification programs you can enroll in. What I've done is, what happened with me was right after I kind of thought, maybe life coaching is the way that would help me do what I want to do, I just Googled life coaching, and I came up with this woman, Michelle Caron, who's in Canada. She's the founder of the My Life Coach website, which is actually the number one on Google, or at least it was when I first checked. And so I just contacted her and basically explained what I was looking to do, and so I ended up working with her for about 3 years. And just, kind of she was telling me about how to become a coach and, what kind of issues you run into. And then as I started coaching people, I would be able to go to her, too, and say, oh, what happens when this kind of situation starts to happen? What's a way to break through this impasse or whatever it is? So she's been kind of like a guide, and she's a really good person, and so I feel really lucky that way. And I've also been involved in her classes on an ongoing basis where coaches share their issues or questions and have a forum in which to discuss things. And then plus, the company I work for happens to publish a lot of these coaching books, so I've read a lot of these books about coaching that are the current
interesting, very
top
interesting
books. Yeah.
So would you, based upon sort of the secular approach of being a coach and the mystical and religious approach of having a kind of a faith-based life, I mean, could you make the connection that being a coach is kind of a priestly craft in some ways?
That's how I see it. I see it as kind of like, I don't want to say necessarily guiding souls, but in a way, but there's a sense of like, walking the journey, the spiritual journey with someone else, like companioning people on their journey and sharing, whatever wisdom I happen to have in the moment, and, just being kind of compassionate and listening and helping the people, the clients, to listen to what their inner voice seems to be saying and what their direction is, and helping it emerge. And, encouraging people when it feels like the right thing to encourage, and kind of maybe being a bit more careful and tactful if I feel like maybe they're coming from like an ego place, for example.
Yeah.
So trying to just be discerning and be awake. And I ask the Holy Spirit for help whenever I begin a call with somebody, or, I want to, be myself hopefully anchored in reality before I deal with somebody else. But I see it as a beautiful calling, actually, because it's a way of, sharing your heart with someone, of listening to their deepest longings, their fears. And the thing I think about coaching that I think is really cool is that often, when you want to change tracks in your life and you want to try something new, maybe follow a dream that you've always had, sometimes you really can't tell even the people that are closest to you in your life. You can't necessarily share a new budding impulse of something really deep from your soul, without kind of taking the risk of having it be shattered by someone making a comment like, oh, well, you tried that before and nothing happened, or, people that know you too well or think they do, can be kind of crushing. And so I think with a coach, it's almost like having like a friend in a way. It's a professional relationship, but it's also like someone to just kind of go, someone who's going to champion you and wants to listen for your deepest self and wants to encourage you and help you, like, okay, you really want that? Okay, can we think of something that you'd agree to do in this next month that would help you take some steps in that direction? And then kind of support the person to make it real or to test it out to see if it is real without the attachment that would cause someone to kind of play into someone's existing doubts or fears.
Yes.
And then what I like as well is, sometimes psychotherapy can be a very good thing for people at certain points in their life. But what's kind of cool about coaching is it doesn't have to be a long-term thing. It could be like for 3 months until someone kind of, the image I had once was like helping someone like boost them over the fence, like put my hands up so they can just like leap over the fence. And then that's it, they're on their own. It's not like coddling someone or creating like a dependency. It's about helping, revitalize and catalyze someone at a certain moment in their life, and then kind of, wishing them good luck and saying goodbye, basically.
Right. Absolutely.
So I liked it. It's freeing.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm hearing from you, Denise, is that a big part of what you do is being a witness. And can you talk a little bit about really what that entails, to be a witness to somebody's journey?
Well, I guess the way I'm hearing the question too is, I guess witness in a way is like, maybe standing by with hopefully like a loving concern and an open heart, and kind of looking for that person's essence and witnessing to that. And you can hear a lot, like even on the phone, like a lot of coaching takes place over the telephone. You can hear a lot about someone and where they're coming from, or if they're being authentic, or if they're afraid, or whatever, just over the phone by the quality of the voice.
Yeah.
So it's a way of like, first of all, trying to tune in with myself so that I'm coming from a sincere place and an open place, and then only from that vantage point can I actually discern properly how to help somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. I think so rarely in life, do we have these kind of soulful conversations where we are trying to really consciously witness to the deepest self of the other person. So coaching at its highest can offer that.
And we live in such a fragmented culture, and they've done studies on people in isolation and alienation, and I'm sure you've looked at some of these numbers, but the amount of people that don't have a close friend or somebody that they can call on and get some support from is mind-boggling.
Yeah. A lot of it too has to do with how we've moved around all over this country too. We're no longer where we grew up and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
And losing touch over the years with people, and there's kind of a loneliness in our culture, and especially with all the tech stuff too. They've talked about that. How people would often much rather just be on the computer because it's safer in a way than even having a phone call or a face-to-face.
Yeah, and I think that perhaps not that coaching would fill a void for a personal relationship, but certainly if somebody is going through something challenging and they don't have someone that they can relate to or share their hopes and fears and aspirations with and try to get through some of that stuff, a coach could be actually a very important piece to that person's life.
Well, I think too, and the coach can perform kind of a bridging function because, when we go through these challenging times too, it helps to kind of be able to at least, know that there's a deeper part of themselves that, can flourish again in the future and can maybe find a new way to be friends with people, or maybe by becoming more and more authentic themselves, they're going to be open to a whole different kind of group of people in the future. So I know for a fact, when we go through times of deep transition in life, sometimes that in itself kind of lets a lot of people, off our calendar, so to speak. It wipes them off because we're changing. We're no longer the same. And it can be like a weird, liminal kind of in-between period that can be hard to navigate.
Yes, absolutely. So take us through the steps. I go to your website, which, by the way, is spiritcenteredlifecoach.com, and I've listened to this conversation. I like your voice. I like what you have to say. I might be interested in some coaching. I call you up. I say, hey, Denise, I heard you on Robert's show. What are some of the first steps you would take somebody through once they initiate that process?
I think what I might do is maybe if it was like an email or phone call too, is just maybe start asking them a couple questions about where they are in their life and what they're doing and what they're hoping to do, and are there any issues, and and basically what I do offer is like for people that are interested in possibly coaching or finding out what it is a free 45-minute phone call. It's just totally complimentary, just to kind of see if we both connect and if it feels like the right thing, and what's happening. And it also can be like a coaching session in and of itself, because I try to, even with those complimentary calls, initial calls, I try to get down to some kind of depth there and try to really see what's going on. So even just a call sometimes can be a helpful push for someone. Absolutely,
yeah. You've recently, you and I have chatted a little bit, and you recently were involved in some interior kind of renovation.
Yeah.
And you really discovered kind of the healing effect of changing up one's space. and we were going to talk a little bit about that. And I think that you wanted to kind of incorporate even some of those aspects into what you're doing. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? And because we're in Cancer right now, and the home is really important. So let's go there if you want to.
Okay, yeah. One thing is like a lot of different things could be doorways into transformation and into change in your life and into the whole becoming more authentic. We can even, getting physically active or taking walks or writing in your journal and things like that. But I've also noticed for myself that, transforming your own space, like even without necessarily thinking, of spending a lot of money or anything like that, but just, trying to create a more conscious environment in your home space and kind of, walking around your place and kind of looking around and going, does anything need to be kind of refreshed here, like another paint color on the walls or moving some furniture around or editing things out and getting rid of some stuff and kind of making your environment a more accurate reflection of kind of who you are, where you are, and kind of what you want to be, like more beautiful, basically. Mm-hmm. And so part of this happened was, well, I've always liked stuff like this, and I've always done things with my apartment to make it more fun and stuff. But I recently what happened was I went to visit my mother over Christmas, and somehow it just kind of spontaneously happened where I thought, well, what if we brought some chairs that were outside, up inside by the fireplace, so people could at least sit down by the fire easier than they could the way she had it before. And she was kind of reluctant. She goes, oh, those are old chairs. I don't know if they look good. And, she kind of was reluctant to change it or to try it. I said, well, if we don't like it, we could just take them right back downstairs, no problem. So anyhow, she said yes. And so we put them there. And then later we found some cushions that looked good on them. And it kind of gave her living room kind of a more like cottage feeling. It was kind of more comfortable to sit by the fire. Mm-hmm. So then we just did other things that kind of led to more other organic changes in the home and kind of refreshing things. And so it was really kind of nice. And so then when I went up there again at the end of May for like 12 days, we decided we both wanted to kind of do a little bit more work and put some new colors on the walls and things like that. So it was kind of a process of discovery and also making some mistakes, but then kind of finding creative ways to integrate them in the overall design. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really an outlay of a lot of cash, but it's just become a much more beautiful environment. It's much more fun for her. My mother feels much more energized in her space and excited about even, clearing through old clutter and things like that. And so I just kind of thought, I love doing this for people. I love, helping them think about colors and thinking about how even a simple change of moving the couch a certain way can kind of help you kind of feel like more is possible in your life. Mm-hmm. So I would like to find a way to integrate that in my life coaching. If people are interested, like for existing clients, if they're in the Bay Area, I can maybe just, brainstorm with them either over the phone or I could just go visit them quickly at their home for like a half an hour, 45 minutes and just brainstorm about possible changes. Yeah. And even people that I'm dealing with long distance, they can always send me a photograph, like of their living room or something, and say, well, you have any ideas about how this could maybe be changed? And we could talk about that as just another doorway into the process of living a more kind of awake and beautiful life. Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was a time in my life where I actually was going through a very challenging time, super challenging time, and I decided to experiment with this substance called ibogaine, which comes from, it's the only psychedelic substance from Africa. Mm. So I experienced this stuff, which there's a big backstory around it. But one of the things that I did after I'd had this experience is I looked at my place and I realized that my living space had to change. Right. And so I had some very profound kind of insight into that. And, it was like night and day after that. And so, when we do change our spaces, they do represent, in some ways, new expressions of our inner life, in our consciousness. And sometimes those things happen, and then we change the space. And then sometimes we change the space, and then those things can happen. Yeah, it's interesting how that is, huh? Yeah, definitely.
Today, one of the things that obviously prompted the show was this whole concept of the divine feminine or the sacred feminine. And when we look at Catholicism, we see the Holy Trinity, the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. And then there's the two Marys and the cult of Mary, the Virgin Mary on the outside, and then there's the cult of Mary, which is Mary of Magdalene, which is a whole other conversation. But it's almost as though the divine feminine has been compartmentalized and venerated, but in a way that's not connected. And as a Catholic and as a woman, how do you feel about that? And where do you think this whole sort of gnosis of the divine feminine, or the rebirth of the divine feminine and the Venus transit has a place in life in general, in your life as well?
Let's see. I'm trying to think how to approach this. Well, for one, I mean, I think perhaps the Virgin Mary has been looked at as like, oh, so lofty and so pure and so far out of the range of reality that she's not really even a human being. Like, you know what I mean? Just kind of lifted way up into the ethers, into kind of unreality.
Mm-hmm.
And then what seemed to be the opposite figure of Mary Magdalene, somebody who's, was a prostitute and involved in, sensuality and, different things, and then later did change her whole life, and became a saint, actually Saint Mary Magdalene. So I guess myself, I can't really say I have a problem with it, or that it's kind of split off in me, or I see them as two totally separate, ways or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I would say is the Blessed Mother, I mean, to me, represents like a very high level of like integrated womanhood, because there's a sense of like deep, deep humility and deep openness and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that's a very high level. If you want to use the term too about Venus, it's like a high level of like living, loving compassion. So it's something beautiful to aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, it hasn't been verified by the Vatican, but they're doing a study right now on whether or not they can see any kind of evidence for supernatural activity that's happening in Medjugorje, Yugoslavia. I don't know if you've heard about that place.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Where the Blessed Mother has supposedly been appearing to these, I guess, 6 visionaries over a period of 20-something years.
Yep.
But when I've read some of the messages and stuff that have come from there, it does sound like the Blessed Mother is actively working in the world, trying to help people, put down their false barriers and, live a more highly spiritual life, because we have sunk very deeply into materialism here.
Yeah.
A deadening materialism.
Yeah.
So it's almost like wake up.
Yeah, I would totally agree. A lot of people say capitalism. Capitalism is the problem.
Yeah.
It's not capitalism, it's materialism.
Yeah. And scientism, I was thinking about that this morning, like the whole idea of science being something that's like, and by that I mean physical science, like as being kind of the be end all of everything, that's the big thing to reduce everything down to, whether it can be felt, seen, heard, otherwise it has no reality.
Right, the empirical world.
Yeah, as being some kind of ultimate thing.
It's really funny, I posted something on my Facebook page, and it was around astrology, and some guy blew in with a comment that I didn't even know this guy. I mean, he was a friend. I don't know how I became a friend, but he basically said, "Ha ha, that's baloney, pseudo. That's baloney pseudoscience. Laugh out loud."
Yeah.
And I had to say to myself, have you ever really looked at science?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Science, which has brought us Monsanto.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're supposed to venerate that?
Yeah, and bow down and prostrate before it, huh?
Exactly. It took me about 5 seconds to defriend that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I used to get into debate with these people. It's like, no, there's no debate. See ya. Man, I'm not here to enlighten you. If you can't get it, it's not my fault. And I'm not going to take 30 minutes of my precious life to try to crack you open.
I remember once, it reminds me when I was I think I was 28 or 29, and I was living with these two roommates. And as a little present to me for my birthday, they paid for a reading from this woman who was an American woman, but she was also a Buddhist. But she was an astrologer. And so she gave me my first natal reading. And I remember I was just blown away by how accurate it felt. A lot of my planets are below the horizon, which is totally, I'm kind of introverted, so that totally made sense. And different times that things happen, like my dad's death, and these different times at different points in my life, it really was helpful for me and really validating for me. So that's how I got kind of interested in it.
I'm just fascinated by this Catholic piece. And again, this connection with, the divine feminine, because when I look at this Trinity, and then you come in, and you're almost like that fourth piece in terms of your gender, in terms of your work. I'm not saying that you are the fourth piece or the fifth element or anything like that, but you're like an embodiment of that, And so now, and I don't know. I just think it's a fascinating life path that you're on. It's a fascinating spiritual path that you're on, and you're interesting because you're kind of heretical in some ways, like a straight Catholic would. Like you and I talk about astrology.
Yeah.
Like it's the headlines of the New York Times. And it's kind of heretical too. So it's all really fascinating. And I just think that I haven't gotten any life coaching from you, but I just get a very strong sense that when you work with people, you put it all together, and you put your eclectic work life together and your past, and I don't know, if I were somebody who were looking for a life coach, I would be interested in connecting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice to hear.
Yeah. So what is what's on the horizon for you? What are some of the things besides the free intake or the free call that you do with clients? What are some of the other things that you could see yourself moving into, branching out and expanding this capacity of being a life coach? What would you like to do? I'm going to be your life coach for a second. What would you like to incorporate with your work?
Well, I'd like to do more in the life coaching. For a while, I've had to kind of bracket it off because I've been busy with my regular sales job. But now some things have changed. We've had some reorgs and things like that where I think I could free up some more of my time. So I'd like to, for one, start writing more on my blog and just getting the insights that I have inside out on paper, so to speak, and just kind of making that a more steady and regular thing, so people could kind of just connect with that. And then I'm also having some business cards and things printed. So I'm looking forward to kind of marketing myself a little bit more, in even around my neighborhood and things like that, to make it more kind of real.
Right.
And then, I'm not sure. I'm kind of, I don't know. I kind of want to concentrate more on my spiritual life and be open to people and trying to kind of sense for myself my next steps.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times we get really hung up on the pedigree of quote unquote experts, right?
Yeah.
And and when I look at the quote unquote experts, I see a lot of people that were born with Pluto and Leo. These were people that were first at the table. They really got their feet on the ground with things like spirituality and alternative thought and human potential. And they've been out there, and and a lot of them wear the banner of experts, whether it's Wayne Dyer or Deepak Chopra or Marianne Williamson. Those people have that, right?
Yeah.
Well, Leo has moved out of Regulus has moved out of Leo and into Virgo, and it signals a shift from this kind of autocratic, royal realm of expertise into kind of the proletariat and the worker and the masses and the people, and it's going to impact people with Pluto and Virgo. And now I think it's time for, this sort of secondary wave to begin to emerge. And we're not experts per se, and yet we have knowledge that we can share. I mean, we're not experts in the sense that we walk around with the banner of being experts, right?
Right.
And yet I think there's a lot of expertise, and we're going to talk to Sarah in a little bit, and she's going to bring some of that into this discussion as well. There's a lot of expertise that we have, and now it's time to be able to bring that forth. And we may be wearing 5 different hats, or we may be, transitioning from one career to another. It doesn't invalidate what we bring to the table.
Oh, yeah. In fact, it might even make it more rich. I mean, at least this is how I see it. It's like, and in terms of even my own life path, it was never really crystal clear to me, even as I was growing up, and even as I was in college and studying philosophy, religion, literature, things like that. I mean, nothing ever told me, like, inside, oh, this is what you should do, become a teacher, do this, do that. There was no clear inner directive, although I searched a lot and tried a lot to find what was my way, what was my path. But it's only now that I'm starting to sense how all of these, seemingly unrelated jobs and things like that, I mean, for one, they're perfect for life coaching because, you're ready to meet people in any way because you've kind of done a lot of things yourself.
Yeah.
So you're not removed at all from people and from their concerns or anything like that. So I don't know. I think we've got some exciting times ahead of us because I think we're going to be meant to put this kind of groundwork, into play at probably a very high level.
I would absolutely agree. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty details. SpiritCenteredLifeCoach.com. That's your website. People can find you there. There's a link on the show page if you want to contact Denise.
Yeah. They can also email me if they want it. Denise at SpiritCenteredLifeCoach.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is your phone number available on your website? Or do they get
It's on the website.
Okay. So there you go. There's 3 ways to get a hold of Denise and work with her if you have the calling.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I knew, that after connecting with you that you would be a really good guest, and you were, absolutely. And thanks for the insight into life coaching and your life and this convergence of an ancient tradition, which is Catholicism. It's not New Age. It's nothing like that at all. And yet finding a way to repurpose that and have your own personal reformation with your faith and how it impacts your life and your work. And I appreciate that, Denise.
Okay, very welcome, Robert.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Denise Carrigg, Spirit-Centered Life Coach. That was great. I don't know about you, but I found it to be incredibly informative and very empowering, extremely empowering. And she had a great voice, too. That's a great life coach voice, right? I mean, if you're picking up the phone, you want to hear that voice. That's a good voice. You don't want to hear, "Hi, what's going on in your life today?" No, I'm sorry. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sure a person like that could have some insight, but after a few minutes, you'd probably want to hang up the phone and find a different life coach. All right. So, speaking of voices, I think it's time to hear another really good voice. Great voice, though. From the ancient roots of mystic Catholicism to the hyper-quantum realizations of new paradigms emerging. Let's bring on our friend, Sarah Nash, a.k.a. the Cosmic Hooker.
I have this desire to go, "Hi! Hi, how are ya?"
Could you imagine having a voice like that and being a life coach?
Sure,
Man.
Why not? I've met a few.
Coffee. Tell me about yourself. I'll leave him. He's an asshole. All right, that's $100.
No, it's more. We went over.
Oh, man. What's going on, Sarah?
Oh, all kinds of really good things. Just got back from Shasta. Did a solstice gathering up at Mount Shasta. And I realized, and I know I'm probably going to piss people off, but I'm really good at that. I'm also really good at, bringing them back. But I am really stunned at the amount of people who are so deeply deluded, so entrenched in a reality that isn't healthy, in my not so humble opinion.
All right.
I was really kind of blown away by that.
Be specific. I want details. I want juicy, gory details. Be specific.
Okay. Well, evidently there's a group of people that believes that there's a group of people who live in Mount Shasta.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. I had heard. I have heard of groups that believe in a hollow Earth, and
right.
And I myself am a member of the Flat Earth Society. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Earth is flat. So.
Well, in some ways it is.
Yeah. But no, I bumped into some phenomenal people, great spirits, great energy, good vibrations. I mean, hell, it was California, but. And then I had the opportunity to bump into some people who, lovely, good, marvelous, and I know some of them are listening to this right now. And I'm going to tell you, ain't nobody living in Mount Shasta, not in this dimension.
Well,
there's nothing in there. Okay, there's molten lava. The thing explodes, every 500-600 years?
Yeah, it's a volcano.
Yeah, it's a volcano. However, in another dimension, I have no doubt, there's, so many dimensions wrapped up in this particular dimension. But here right now, where you and I are talking and other people are listening, I'm sorry. No, there's nothing going on in Mount Shasta except a bunch of, I think it's actually going to blow sooner than, 500 years. But hey, that's just one example of people, and they were earnest. They were so sincere, and they were telling me things that I and I sat back, and there's a marvelous coffee shop there, and a few actually, and I just kind of smiled and listened. Sometimes you got to listen, and talk about great life coaching. It's about listening.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was we talked about that with the witness piece, so. And being able to, witnessing is listening. So were these people wearing purple? Were they the I am purple or not? The I am people?
No, No, I didn't.
That's where that all starts with, like, Guy Ballard, right? Guy Ballard, who was, I believe he was a student of Alice Bailey. He was a theosophist. He was hanging out up in Mount Shasta, and he was taken into the mountain by the masters. That's where it all starts.
Yeah, I want some of what he's on.
And there's a whole community up there, people, the I am community, and they all dress in the violet flame. They all wear like purple suits and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's what was going on. Okay.
Did you see those people?
Yeah, I felt like I was going to, when I was in San Francisco when I was 12 years old, I got swept away by a group of Hare Krishnas that were doing a dance routine, a huge group of them in the middle of the street. And somehow I got wrapped up in the middle of all of that and nearly swept away. And I kind of got that same feeling when I was up in Shasta. So, like, no, you're not going to take me. No. But I honor everybody. I honor all delusions. I do. I truly do.
That's great.
I honor all delusions. It doesn't mean that I have to validate it, but I do honor it.
No, that's good. I like that. I like the fact that you are you're indiscriminate with your honoring of delusions. I like that.
I honor all delusions. Come on, I grew up a Mormon.
So, well, that's a whole nother conversation. So, okay, the intention of having you on the show today, besides chatting with you and riffing with you, which is always fun, is to talk about this event that you're putting together and how it kind of relates to your life and why people would be interested in this event. That it's kind of a big thing for you.
It is. Yes.
It's the White Light Express, something that you started a while ago with a group of people, and now you're kind of circling back to this in a more formal way.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what the White Light Express is, and what you're about to do with this thing.
Well, I actually kind of wrote out a mission statement for the White Light Express, and basically it is to offer healing and transformation for everybody who seeks any kind of personal enlightenment. And what we're trying to do is develop a network of healing professionals, metaphysicians, light workers, people who are dedicated to researching ways of illuminating oneself and methods of ascension with integrity. Mm-hmm. And years and years ago, my very best friend and I got together, and one of the things that we would always say is, pray for me, I'll pray for you. And a friend of ours got involved with that, and she said, I really need for you to pray for me. I need the both of you to pray for me. We did, and we got a group of people involved online. We were intense bloggers on Zanga years and years ago.
Yeah.
Back when Zanga was still a very intimate community. And a lot of these people are the original writers of the White Light Express, and essentially what we did is we created a graphic, and everybody focused on that graphic because that graphic represented the person that we were praying for, their wish of healing or to get the job or for their whatever it was. And that kind of intense focus, really, without religion, without ritual, without, oh, you got to do this 12 times a day and facing the east, you know. I mean, if you just woke up in the morning and said, oh, wow, you know, I hope that, I hope that Sarah gets the job. You know, please let her get the job, or please let her, you know, cancer go away, or please let something, whatever. It's just putting focused intention out there in a huge group of people. And this went on for several years, actually. And we developed a website. We had people from all different denominations and belief systems just get together and focus for 7 days on one person with the highest intention that and, you know, the feedback that we got from people was that it was sort of like riding a roller coaster. They would literally feel the energy enter into their lives. And you've got that chink, 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 chink as you head up, and then you ascend, and you're filled with this light and love. And then not a lot, but some people actually experienced kind of a crashing sensation at the end. And that's when I really kind of came in, and that's actually where Cosmic Triage got started. Way back then, you know, these people would call me up and they'd say, I don't know what to do now. And that's where I kind of honed in and perfected my skill as a spiritual life coach. But that's besides the point. The White Light Express, the graphic that I explained to you, that I told you about, it became a boxcar. And everybody put their hopes, wishes, desires, and dreams into this boxcar. They told me what color they wanted it to be, certain symbols, what have you. And then we'd put it online. People would print it up, put it maybe on their refrigerator, or on their altar, or maybe on their bathroom mirror. And for a week, people would focus on this one person. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. All over the world. And of course, you know, connections were made and miracles happened. I mean, honest to God, miracles. And my goal by the end of this week is I'm going to go online and I'm going to put up all the past graphics that we had. So as we began talking about the White Light Express, we decided to develop a healing community. There were healers that we connected with, and we thought, we have tried now, this is going to be our third try. Twice in Joshua Tree, I tried to have a conference and a gathering, and it just didn't happen at the Dingley May Institute of Mental Physics. That it didn't happen. The first time I got divorced, my ex-husband just kind of blew it out the water, and the second time I got incredibly ill. That was back in April of 2 years ago, and it was just not going to happen. So this time, I met two incredible people. One at the Women of Wisdom Conference in Seattle. That's Eagle Spirit. Phenomenal human being. Phenomenal. And I'm very, very, oh God, I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. I meet very few people that are truly authentic. Okay? Everybody, oh yeah, I read a book and now I'm a crystal healer, and oh, I took an online course and now I'm a Reiki master, and oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not. I honor your trip, and I honor that you're trying to get skilled, but I've been doing this for, since I was 7. I've been on this path. I didn't just wake up last week and decide that I knew what crystals were doing. Now, this isn't to say that people in this period of ascension are not having that experience, because they are. And that's why it's really important to connect with people who are truly authentic and have authority. And from that, you can expand and grow and learn. There are a lot of people out there who are in this ascension process that are moving out of this third dimension reality and realizing that there are people out there. I was talking to Sonia Grace yesterday, in fact, and she said, it's so important. It's so important for people to understand that those people who are flipping your burgers and who are cleaning your bathrooms and who are doing your laundry and who are checking you out at the grocery counter and who, everybody, everywhere, the people who are driving the taxis, everybody's going through this ascension profile right now. A lot of these people are waking up and going, oh my God, there's more out there than just, 2.5 Men on, television.
So
I just plugged that show.
So when you say ascension, I think people have different ideas as to what that is.
Oh yeah.
What do you personally mean by that?
Waking up, realizing that there's more than their television or sports or church even. People are waking up and they're realizing, and when I say waking up, they're having a thought process now that is unstoppable. It is unstoppable. They're having this thought process that says there's more than just Jesus Christ. There's more than just Buddha. There's more than just Krishna. There's more than just the foundation that I've grown up with. There's more out there. And it's not just pioneers like you or me. It's everybody. Everybody is having this. To me, that's ascension. To me, it's waking up and saying, okay, there's more out there than just what I believed to be out there. So what is it?
Right. So there's kind of the classic kind of, post-New Age definition of ascension, which is a temporal shift where, a group of people experience a new reality, a new dimensional reality, maybe a fifth dimensional reality, which mirrors this reality, but without all the assholes. I mean, there's that model of ascension as well. Are you also addressing that version of ascension, or is
absolutely?
This...
No, absolutely, yeah. No, nobody is going to get out of this. Nobody. Everybody is going to have. I mean, no. And we're seeing it happen in the Middle East. We're seeing it happen in Egypt. We're seeing it happen all over the world. People are just not putting up with what they've always put up with. To me, ascension is stepping out of one's own paradigm and taking a look at others and going, okay, I get that. All right. For example, it's the people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, there's a whole society living in Mount Shasta."
Right.
And there's the group of people that are going to go, "Oh man, you're just completely and totally out of your mind and absolutely deluded." And there is still a part of me that says, "Wow." But all my life, ever since I was a small child, I have never discounted somebody else's truth, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said, "Wow, that's awesome. Can you tell me more about that?"
Right.
So that I could have a clearer understanding of what they were really believing in and what they needed. What does this mean?
Yeah.
It's like if people are saying that, well, what does that mean to them?
Mm-hmm.
What does healing and transformation mean to them? What are they missing in this life? What tangible substance is not? I'm trying to articulate in a very short period of time what I've been doing for a very long time, but essentially, what is it that you need in your life that will bring you joy, lasting happiness, lasting satisfaction?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose the two women that I did to highlight the first annual White Light Express conference. And actually, it was discussing it with Eagle Spirit. She's the one who said to me, "Do you realize what you've just said? You said conference."
Mm-hmm.
I was asking her to come out and do a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Step back and take a look at what you've just said." And Eagle Spirit is phenomenal. I mean, they're both of these women. I cannot tell you how deeply touched I am by both of them, and they're very different women too, by the way.
So let's talk. All right. So now we're getting into logistics. You're putting together a conference. It's taking place in Washington. It's the White Light Express. All right. So what are the dates? Who is teaching it? And let's talk about them.
Okay. On August 17th, we have Eagle Spirit, and on August 18th, we have Sonia Grace.
Uh-huh.
And the information is available on the whitelightexpress.com. It is. I'm going to be teaching at the meet and greet on August 16th. I'll be there in the evening for people who want to see who's going to be joining in with the other workshops. And sometimes people like to, do a recon, find out, more about the place. We're holding this at the fantastic and very, very beautiful Madrona Mind and Body Institute, and I'm so deeply grateful to Alicia Alvarez, who is one of the co-founders of the Madrona Mind and Body Institute, for, after telling her about it, she just thought she got really jazzed. She said, "You have to do this here," which was a huge, huge, huge boost for the White Light Express, because we're going to be doing this every year, and I want this to become the conference. I don't want this just to be some, conference that has a few workshops. I want to, in 10 years' time, my goal is to make this the conference that everyone is talking about. Mm-hmm. And Fort Worden has the facilities to do a residential program. It is huge. It is beautiful. It is a memorial to peace. Mm-hmm. And to have our headquarters be at the Madrona Mind Body Institute is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Can I say fucking? Is that okay?
No, of course.
I just said it.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's my favorite word.
Okay. So all right. So let's say, all right, this is intriguing. I'm listening to the show. This is intriguing. If I go, what's going to happen to me? What am I going to learn from these two women? Who are these two women? What's going to take place while I'm there? Because that'd be my next question. Who are they, and what could I expect to experience at an event like this?
Well, it is only just 2 days, and basically, let's talk about Eagle Spirit first, because she's doing the workshop. It's an all-day workshop from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on August 17th, and for her, she's presenting as she's a contemporary shaman, by the way. And she teaches a program called Empath 101, which she's also doing that weekend, but in Seattle. So we're really going to try and get some of the HSP people, the highly sensitive people, that group in the Pacific Northwest to take that workshop with her. But that's not part of the White Light Express. It's just something she does that really intrigues me as an empath myself. You know, she taught me quite a bit about how to maintain my own equanimity in the middle of healing other people. But she's doing what she calls a play shop. So it's very active. It's not just a workshop. You're not just going to be sitting down. And the same with Sonia. There's not a lot of just being bored. I mean, I've gone to so many workshops where I'm like, oh my God, is this over yet? My experience with both of these women and the workshops that I took from them was, oh my God, it's over? No. So, and I'm deeply skeptical. And so that's why I chose these two women, because I wanted more. So Eagle Spirit is teaching a play shop called Shift Happens, and I love that because, you know, it's sort of a play on words.
Sure.
You know, shit happens, well, shift happens too.
Right.
And she teaches you through hands-on spiritual, like she uses like modeling clay, I think, in this. I haven't taken this workshop, but I'm really excited to take it myself. But basically she's going to, you've all heard of The Secret. Everybody's heard of The Secret. Well, there's the law of attraction. And how you can affirm possibilities in your life, how you can manifest in your life in ways that a lot of people go, oh, well, I've done that before and it didn't work. Or she's going to help you get through those barriers and really how you can step back and take a look at yourself and see how you yourself have been stopping you from getting from point A to point B. And sometimes it's very simple. It's you know, oh, God, I never knew I was so afraid of success. Oh, God, I never knew that the reason I don't have a good relationship is because I didn't think I was worthy. And things like that. It's through she's gonna help you step into and out of your fear. And that's where the shift really does happen. When you can look at yourself and say, oh, okay, so I'm my biggest enemy. Right. And then how you can laugh and move through that. There's a lot of joy with Eagle Spirit. There's just she is a bundle of joy. I don't know how I seem to see. I'm huge. I'm like, you know, 5'9", and I'm a very big warrior kind of woman, and I seem to attract all these little tiny angelic fairies around me.
Right.
Yeah, because Eagle Spirit and Sonia are such, and Sonia, she used to be a ballerina. She was very popular.
What's her workshop going to be about?
Sonia, oh, wow. I've taken this workshop, and I'm excited to take it again. It's a spiritual journey that will heal in a way that I've never been healed before, okay? And this is me. This is 30 years of workshops, therapy, living in ashrams, spiritual journeying, shamanic journeys. Never in my life have I come across somebody who has the authority. I don't know, how can I describe it? It's a meditative workshop. Her meditation for grounding is the best ever. And her mentor taught it to her. Right. And so she's going to take you through a series of grounding exercises just for a few moments. It's not boring. It's when I think of meditation workshops, I'm always just so, oh God, I can't do that. Yeah. You know, it's my ADD self going, no, I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes. I was with this woman from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Joshua Tree at her last workshop, and the day flew by. and I was changed, and I met some of my spirit guides in a way that I have never in my life, in a safe, loving, warm, grounded, real, and truly authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my skepticism for certain things just completely went out the window. This woman is so dialed in and so deeply authentic that I'm in honor and in awe of her. And I'm really pleased that she and I are becoming good friends. We see each other. In fact, that's one of the things that she said to me when I sat with her the first. She said, "Oh, I so see you." And I was afraid. I'm like, "No, you don't want to see me."
Right.
I'm kidding. I want everybody to see me.
Well, this sounds intriguing. With these two women, are you going to be capturing any of this, with video, or let's say people like this, it sounds great to them, but they can't go to Washington State. I mean, what's their opportunity to experience this maybe after the fact?
I do believe that Sonia has her programs on CD, and she does have a healing and transformational video as well. She is working on. She has a book out. She has a new book out. It's really wonderful. And I have it in my other office, but let me grab it really quickly off of her website because I'm really excited about this. It's Earthways.
Mm-hmm.
It's called. Earthways, Healing Meditations for the Soul. I just pulled that up here in front of me. It is a phenomenal book. It's very simple, and this is what I love about Sonia and Eagle Spirit. Both of these women are incredibly humble.
Mm-hmm.
They're humble and knowledgeable and authentic in a way that is rare, especially for women. These are very strong, very powerful women who exude so much love and so much authenticity, and they're so grounded that it was astonishing even to me. And I'll tell you, I've met some of the best out there, really, and I was just really blown away. And that both of them agreed to come and do this was just, I'm humbled, and I'm appreciative that I would actually like to get them. I would like for you to speak with each one of them.
Yeah, we should bring them on the show and talk to them.
Yeah.
And we'll do that before your event happens, because it would be cool to dialogue with them. And this is, I think, probably a good place to start, to hang out with you for a little bit and just find out more about the event. So what else is going on? I mean, you've got your own thing. You've got your own practice. You have your own clients.
I do.
And so how's that going for you?
You know, I've actually taken a bit of a little hiatus right now. I channeled an oracle deck when I was in Shasta that I really need to get out. I've been trying to work on this now for about 4 or 5 months. And in one fell swoop, about a half an hour, I was actually sleeping on the way to Shasta. And I dreamt it. I dreamt the whole thing. And it's funny, my husband was driving, and he said, "I've never seen you move so fast." I grabbed my journal, and I just, one of my books, and I slammed that puppy out. And I've got to get that out there. It is an amazing healing oracle that I think is going to be very, very beneficial for a lot of people. And my private practice, you know, I'm really trying to dial in cosmic triage, and I would like to start teaching that more and more. And I will be doing a workshop at the Labyrinth Society, the annual Labyrinth Society gathering in October. But dealing with people one-on-one, what happens is here's the thing. People can heal themselves instantly from anything, from grief, sorrow, pain. You know, there are metaphysical ways to go into the body and even heal cancers. I mean, Carolyn Miss has done it. We have the capacity to heal ourselves, but what happens is people don't believe it, and they're so wrapped up in their pain, and that is their comfort zone. That I'm really trying to come to a place where I can start teaching people it is okay to step out of your pain and take a look at it, even for just a short while. But I really had to step away from my ego, and that wasn't easy for me because which is one of the reasons why I love Sonia and I love Eagle Spirit, because now I have these two wonderful women that I trust and that I plan on sending people to for healing, for long-term healing. Because let's face it, I'm your emergency room psychic, okay? I am an emergency room physician, and you do not go to an emergency room physician if you need an oncologist or if you need a brain surgeon, okay?
Unless
I really had to.
You don't have health care, in which case you do.
Well, yeah, and in which case, yeah.
Because they never turn you away at emergency.
No, they don't. No, and they're kind of cool there, and that's me. I will never turn you away. But I am not good with long-term. There's only one person that I work with on a long-term basis, and that's because I was directed by my guides to do that. But people come to me, and they want to keep coming to me, and I should love that. I should love that. But see, I'm really good at administering what I call cosmic morphine.
Yeah.
I can sit inside of you. I don't know anybody on this planet better than me who can sit inside of you and tell you where you're bleeding, where the original wound is. And I can patch you up and I can say, listen, you've got 10 days or you've got 30 days to get yourself to a brain surgeon or to an oncologist. And I'm speaking metaphorically. The bottom line is that there's nobody better on this planet if you're having a crisis than me. There's nobody.
There you
go.
But
if you want to continue living in your crisis, and if you want to continue tearing it apart, and if your crisis is your comfort zone, I can't help you. But I know people who can. So come to me with your crisis, and if you're good with that, and if you accept the healing that I have to offer, awesome. And if not, then I'm going to direct you down a pathway of people, and that ultimately is what the White Light Express is about. It is a healing group of people that we can each trust who are authentic and real, and I've had some recent experiences with people that are not authentic, plastic people, and I've learned my lesson. And so the bottom line is that I desire to develop a healing group that will be world-renowned, of professionals from holistic therapists to artists to reflexologists to masseuses to acupuncturists, a literal community, if you will, of the best healers on the planet.
Right.
I want to develop the A-team of the psychic world. And we're authentic people. We're not... Okay, again, here I know that I'm going to probably upset a few people, but, the bottom line is that there are people that are what I call the sparkle-snorting bunny hoppers. They love pink and fluffy bunnies, and they need rainbows and unicorns and sparkling stars, and oh, my God, there's a ghost in the bathroom. Ooh. Lovely. There are people for that. But if you want authentic healing, and if you want people who are no bullshit, honest to God, not your run-of-the-mill healer, then go to the White Light Express.
All right. Well, there you go.
Go to these conferences that we're going to be putting together. Now, you asked a very important question. You said, what if people can't go to the conference? What then?
Right.
I know that both of these women are available for private sessions. I do know that I will be bringing them back often. My goal is to have one main conference a year and then mini conferences throughout the year, mini workshops. And I keep bumping into really terrific people that I want to, tap, especially up in Shasta. I was just excited, because there are people out there that are just, they're living under a rock, and I want to drag them out and say, listen, the world needs you.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, with all this healing power and your ability to intervene in any spiritual crisis, I think I have a new nickname for you.
Awesome. What is that?
Jesus Crisis.
Nice. There's this whole thing about Jesus as a woman.
So, well, exciting time, Sarah, and it sounds like a good thing. And when is it happening again? In August?
In August, yeah. And also, if people sign up now,
Uh-huh.
they're going to get a killer discount. They got to do it soon because these women. I just have the feeling that it's all going to come together in the last couple of weeks, and this sort of thing seems to happen where people wake up one day and they go, oh yeah, I want to go do that. Mm-hmm. They've been looking at it for 3 weeks, and suddenly they decide they want to do that. And space is limited.
Okay.
And if they sign up for it now, they just need to go to the whitelightexpress.com, hit conference.
Right.
And all the information is there, even down to transportation and where you can stay.
Okay.
But both Sonia and Eagle Spirit are offering some remarkable discounts now if you sign up now. Otherwise, you're going to have to bite the bullet. And in fact, Sonia, I think, has a 2-for-1 deal, or not 2-for-1, but like, for example, when Avis and I went and did her workshop, I paid full price and then half price for Avis.
Right.
So you can go with a friend, which is awesome. And I think, here, let me pull up my information sheet here. I think Eagle Spirit is doing a discount right now. She's got an early bird special. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is pretty phenomenal.
So they are two separate seminars, but under the same kind of rubric umbrella for that event.
Healing and transformation.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
It will always be about healing and transformation.
So whitelightexpress.com, that's the website. The date is, August 16th and 17th? Is that it?
Yeah. Basically, August 16th, 17th, and 18th. 16th is in the evening.
Uh-huh. Okay. Good. All right. Good to know. So let's bring them on in the next couple of weeks, and we can find out more. All right?
Yeah, I would love to have you speak with them.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Sarah. Appreciate it. Always
my pleasure.
Good to hear from you, and I'll see you out there in the virtual realm sometime again soon.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
All right, take good
Thanks,
care.
Robert.
Bye.
Bye now.
That was Sarah Nash, a Cosmic Cooker, and she's going to be putting together the White Light Express, a 2-day, 3-day seminar in the Pacific Northwest. Hey, look, it's a beautiful part of the world. If you're looking for a vacation and get away, and you want to learn something, check it out and see if it's up your alley. Go to the website. But I used to live up there. I lived in Olympia, so I know the Olympic rainforest and that region, and it's absolutely lovely, and it's a great time of year to be there as well. So maybe you just want to get away. Okay, I've got a half an hour left in Blog Talk time. So there's a bunch of people that have been on the line today just listening, which is really kind of unique, and you've not gone unnoticed. I've seen you all here, and you're all still hanging out there, and I wanted to touch base with some of you because I think you're listening. Just you're dialed in and you're listening to the show, but I also just want to get a sense maybe as to what you've thought of or heard about with today's program, and if it was meaningful for you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to tap some of you who have been on hold for the majority of the show. So let's go to the 705 number and let's just touch base. Hello there. Hello. Can you hear me? Obvious a listener, not a talker. Let's go back here. Hello there.
Hi, is that me?
It's you.
My name is Hugh. I'm calling from Virginia.
Hey, Hugh.
Yeah, I came on at the tail end of your show, but I'm working on something huge, and can share my name, and you can see a lot of things on the internet. I'm working on bringing spirituality into global economics and combining it with unconditional love.
Well, that sounds like a pretty worthwhile mission. You want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'll give you my name. It's Hugh, H-U-G-H. Last name is Traulsen, T like Tom, R-A-U-L-S-E-N as in Nancy. There's various interviews and things. If you put a .com after my name, it will bring you to one site. If you click on historical articles, you'll see a front page Wall Street Journal article from back in 1983 where I exposed the former federal government bureaucrat for fraud. It indirectly eventually led to the resignation of Jim Wright from Speaker of the House, the third highest office in the country. You'll see the original memo and attachments. The last item is a letter from our current president to me dated July 7th, 2009, related to the economy, which I responded to and followed up numerous times without one word back from the administration. And in my response, I pointed out that I have no risk strategies that I'm releasing into the business world are actually a strategic, intelligent enhancement that will allow any business the opportunity to expand and diversify to an unlimited degree in any field and create jobs and opportunities at the same time. It's totally transparent, highly ethical and moral, and will force companies to be more responsible for their employees, their customers, the environment, and the community. Otherwise, I don't see them being around long in the future.
Well, there certainly seems to be a predetermined end date with the corporate culture as it exists now, or at least, at the very least, when I look at somebody like a Monsanto, what they're really trying to do is kind of remap the planet and remap the genome of the planet and remap the genome of the individual so that the corporate culture or the culture which the corporation has existed does end, but they try to reinvent that through synthetic means, which is a whole different kettle of fish. So are you an economist by trade, or is the economy something that you've been drawn to as kind of a life work?
I would say the latter. It's been a lifelong process based on all kinds of bizarre experiences that I've had throughout my life. I have spirituality running through my entire life, a lot of things that can be documented, and I've had UFO, paranormal, and near-death experiences. So all of that was to show me things. I've been in places and seen things that a lot of people are totally unaware of, and I have unlimited creativity. I actually have a Christ consciousness and co-create with Jesus Christ, so I'm an unlimited well of creativity as well as a creative, intelligent force. And we all have those abilities, and that's what I'm looking to get out to the masses and to show that we have to do everything from a place of love for our future. Since the beginning of time, it's been all control, conquer, and divide, but in order to have a wonderful future, we have to do it with unconditional love. We have to take responsibility and understand that we put all these crooks into office, so what we have to do is laugh and love the ones that are in office out and love the right ones in a transparent way. I say to everyone, anytime you come into contact with any politician from now on, just keep hammering the same question at them. Say, don't you tell me what you can do for me once you're elected. You tell me today, right here and now, what you can do for this community, for the state, and for the country. The people have the answers. The people are the greatest asset of any country. The politicians can interact, and the ones that get the best answers presented in the best way should be elected. They're kept under the microscope. If they're not doing what they're put in there for, they're right out of there. The 30, 40-year politicians of history, you'll never see that again, and they'll go down in history. They'll shame their families, and they'll shame this country. So.
Well, I think that certainly that sounds like a prescription for wellness and collective healing in terms of the economy and not just in the economy, but governance in general. Well, you bring up an interesting point. Because anybody can do a lot of research, and if you can let go of your predispositions and say, would they really do something like that to us? And the answer is obviously yes, they can, and they are, and they do. And then there becomes this moment of sort of a psychological and spiritual impasse. Well, I've seen this. I've taken the red pill. Now what do I do? Now what do we do now? How do we change this thing? Because I think more and more people are becoming aware of, the matrix that's been put in place, the divide and conquer matrix, and the raping and pillaging and plundering of spiritual resources and personal resources. And now we come to the now what phase. And it seems to me like you're part of the now what phase. You're part of the solution phase. That's what I'm getting.
That's exactly right. And I'm looking to interact, and I am interacting with a blog talk show out of Australia, which you and your listeners might take an interest in. I first came across it on May 25th. It's called Oculus, Oculus Radio. Comes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And after talking to me about 25 minutes into the show, they asked if I might partake in what they were doing. They're bringing together indigenous elders from all over the world to discuss solutions for mankind's future. I said, of course, I'm honored. So I've been interacting with them. And on July 11th, 2011, I invented the first product I know of its kind. I call it a Y-Pod. I'm actually bringing it from the spiritual realm into the physical realm. I offer the basic concept free to all mankind to help them with their creativity and spirituality. This product can be utilized on and off the grid. Off the grid, it can be as simple as an index card file of contacts and opportunities that you empower and give value to by how you interact and network with it. On the internet, it can be a website, a blog, or a social media application. Those can be portals to sophisticated computer-coded pre-qualified global business opportunities. So now we take control over the business, keep it in our loving circles until we're ready to ripple it out transparently to the world, and it takes it away from the elites.
So, Hugh, you mentioned a website when you and I just started to have a little conversation here. Can you repeat that, please?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things that can be seen on the Internet. I've been doing a number of different interviews. So if you just Google my name, Hugh, H-U-G-H, Traulsen, Traulsen, as in Nancy. If you put a .com, that will bring you to the site that Wall Street Journal has. If you put a .biz, it will bring you to another site of a very progressive organization, a global platform marketing organization that I'm interacting with that is referral-based and could be quite a cash cow for people. This is all video technologies, video emails, video global conferencing, video newsletters. And to give you an example of the power of this organization, my last name has global recognition in the food service field too, but there was a French restaurant that came into this organization down in Texas, and the owner, just using the video email, sent a video email to his customers of the chef preparing an entree. As a result of that, the sales for the restaurant doubled. Now, if he took it a step further, because it is a referral-based organization, and extended it to his business clientele, it would create a whole new additional revenue stream for the owner, and for the business clientele, it would bless them in the respect that once they got active in the organization, not only would it pay for their meal, it probably would allow them to eat free at that restaurant for the rest of their lives. So it's in how you look at things. What I just described is what I would say is creative utilization of information coming together with social media and networking under the umbrella of strategic marketing. The big boys have no clue. They can't keep up with it. And if it's done transparently with people helping people, they'll never catch up.
So are you referring to iWowie?
No, it's an organization called Talk Fusion.
Okay, because I have a relationship with a similar company called iWowie.
Yes, this was started by a police officer down in Florida, and I have a partner who has a blog talk show, Actually, it's on tonight. It's called Focus Change. He's a psychologist for over 40 years and also an expert in the law of attraction, has mastermind groups, and he's never seen anything like this in his life, and I never have either. He came in to Talk Fusion through me on his show, Talk Fusion, June 15th. He had one of the top people come on as a guest. In 2010, this person, Rob Rodner, R-O-D-N-E-R, had just finished his second bankruptcy, and he borrowed the money from a doctor friend to come into Talk Fusion. And as he was speaking on the show June 15th, he's now worth over 7 figures and climbing rapidly.
Yeah, these models are very interesting because they're emerging with Jupiter and Gemini, which is the expansion of communication. And it's fascinating because, people say that these are MLMs or pyramid schemes or whatever. I don't necessarily feel that that's a mark against.
Again, when you say MLMs, every company is an MLM.
Right.
The chairman, the presidents, the vice presidents. So you can draw your pyramid in any way you want, but they're all.
No, which is why, and it's also a very interesting kind of media manifestation of this model because it's not like you're out there humping vitamins, or water machines. This is a viral tool and a viral network and a viral application, which is very interesting.
Well, you're exactly right. There's no inventory required, and this is something everybody will be using. Cisco did a study, and they said by 2014, 90-something% of people will all be video. That's all you're going to be seeing.
Yeah.
So it's like when you had radio and then you had television, one of those kind of deals where people that had a business and so I'm not going to get into computers. Where are they today?
Yeah, right, exactly. So Hugh, real quick question. How did you find this show?
I don't even have a computer. I have a web browser and my cell phone. I constantly scan the internet for various things, and I'm spirit-driven or led to things, and I liked what your show was saying, so I came on. I'm happy to interact with you, and I hope that you might investigate my partner's site. He's got a website, attractingabetterlife.com, and I'm just co-authoring a book with him. That strategy I mentioned about the restaurant and other things will be in the book, and people coming into the organization. See, it depends on how you come into an organization, too, because our network is very proactive and people helping people, and anybody coming in through us will now have the opportunity through their membership ID number to be able to utilize that on that free ebook that will be coming out. So it's very powerful stuff.
Real cool. Like I said, I've got a relationship with iWowie, which is a similar tool. And again, these tools are proliferating now. It's a way to share, not only share information, but in a way that's almost it's quantum and omnidimensional in the way that it's taking off and connecting people up in a very interesting way. I'm going to put you back on hold again, Hugh.
Sure.
If you care to listen. I want to thank you for coming on here. Interesting guy. Come back on another time. I'll remember your number. And then we can chat some more. How does that sound?
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
All right. Take good care.
Okay.
That's an interesting experience. Let's go to the 323 number. Hello, you're on the air with Robert.
Oh, hi. Hi, this is Camille.
Hey, Camille.
I've just been kind of listening to the show and not having any questions, but I kind of dozed off for a second, and it was interesting what sort of dreams just sort of resulted with, the voices just in the back.
Yeah. That's wild. So
what, pretty much.
At what part of the show did you doze off? I'm curious.
Yeah, okay, so when you had your guest somewhere in there, and I saw myself in this big room, and I had a woman, a middle-aged woman, drinking wine with me. And I didn't have any wine, but, at some point, I have a baby, so my baby was also here, alternating between sleep and wake. suddenly the middle-aged woman starts teasing on my finger, but it's because the baby in the room with me was really doing that. Yeah. and then when you started saying, I heard you say, all right, I'm going to go to the calls because we've got some people just waiting. I want to see who's there. Well, you had a podium. You were at the front of the room on a podium with a chalkboard with things written down with men around you, and you called yourselves the Army.
I called myself the Army?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it was some sort of a movement that you all had. And, okay, I don't know if you're into anything like that, and you did not look like the avatar that you have for your program. You looked completely different. It was very imagine 3 or 4 men in medieval clothing, but in a modern-day classroom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was. It was some sort of a secret society. You guys wanted to do something, change makers or, yeah. Yeah, it was just pretty radical.
That's awesome. That is totally awesome. Yeah. Wow, interesting. So how's your baby doing?
Oh, she's incredible. She'll be 7 months old on July the 7th. And she's a small thing, but I spoke of this before. She's 11.5 pounds, but she has more than doubled her birth weight, and she's eating, a little bit of banana, avocado, or something soft, and that's about it.
So some people listening don't know your story.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my story was on December the 7th of 2011, I was very surprised when my water broke. Here at home, my water broke, and I was like, what was that? And it took me a couple hours before I finally realized I was in labor. And I was one of those people, I did not know that I was pregnant until that day. And, yeah, so I got myself to the hospital, and I was very blessed and fortunate that, first and foremost, at 35 years old, I had a very easy pregnancy, no complications. My entire labor and delivery was just under 5 hours. There was no pain. It was just intense pressure. And, I can't explain why that was my situation. I had a lot of explaining to do by, medical staff, like, how did you not know? Do you have any history of, bipolar disorder or anything? Like, I guess without my knowledge, I was given a psychiatric evaluation.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, just to prove, and it was kind of funny because if you have cable television, you would know that there is a program called I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant. Every so often, this comes out in the news where a woman goes through a pregnancy for any length of time and just surprise. So, I don't know why my case would be any different, but
right.
I think in my case, because I was not with her father, and my own family is either deceased or living farther away from me, I pretty much was in the hospital giving birth alone.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that's different. It wasn't like, oh, there's Grandpa with the cigars in the waiting room. No, I had nobody in my waiting room.
So you were just blowing people's minds right and left in that place, right? Like, number one, you're alone. Number two, you didn't even know you're pregnant, know, and they must have just thought, did she just land on some kind of a alien craft or something? That's a really And you just said, hey, just watch more television. Just watch more TV. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they thought. Or they thought at worst I was some crazy person, or they're trying to make it up. Maybe I had a really good relationship with her father for 6 weeks, and it was actually a relationship, not a one-night stand. after it was someone I'd known for about a year or so before we started seeing each other. And
Right.
at the end of it, he started getting a little pissy. His birthday was coming up. I didn't like being talked down to in that one moment, and I didn't stand for it. I just said, you know what, goodbye. I was done. So they were trying to say, oh, well, maybe you, like, who is he? What is his name? And I'm like, I'm not giving you the name of my ex-boyfriend. I'm sorry. Or they were trying to make it, like maybe I was an abuse victim, like maybe I had escaped him, or no, nothing like that. Don't put that out there. So it took a while, and because she was only born at 5 pounds 2 ounces, but you know what? So was I. So that's just what we do in our family. We have little babies. But because she had a slower weight gain, the doctor was just very upset with me. And they put her in the hospital, ran all sorts of tests. She didn't have any problems. It was just, this is just her particular rate of growth.
Right.
And I had a lot of people, she's failure to thrive, who are you, what are you doing? And
right. More reasons to kind of put you under a microscope. What are you doing with your kid?
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah. So at some point, I didn't know. At some point, I almost lost her because, it was all this confusion, like, how dare you have a baby, pretty much. And I'm like, but I'm over 35.
Right.
I'm a university-educated person.
Yeah.
I just didn't know I was pregnant. I'm not married, but worse things have happened. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What a trip. It's like, just ripping apart somebody's paradigm, bringing them all these things that they're not used to seeing and questioning, their version of reality, normalcy. And the default really becomes it's your fault, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're the oddball. You're the one that is the aberrant agent in their reality or in their paradigm. So we got to look at you. We got to put you under a microscope.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how that happened.
Well,
that's how that happened.
It's an amazing story. We were amazed when we heard it the first time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear it today as the dialogue has been about the divine feminine.
Oh, yes.
And the sacred aspect, the sacred female aspect of creation and God. And here you are, not necessarily having a mystery with conception. Not an immaculate conception, but in a lot of ways you got an immaculate birth.
Yes.
Which is unique, and she is obviously a girl, so an expression of this divine feminine. So it's fitting that you would show up today, and we would be able to even have this conversation.
Yeah. I follow the show, so I get the emails, and I happen to find that email with at the top of the hour. We're going to talk about this, so I'm like, oh, okay, let me just give a listen. Yeah.
Well, you didn't just listen; you were a participant, and as the universe does, brings us these, wonderful wrinkles, and if we leave space for them to happen, and there was some space for you today for that to happen. So,
that's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Camille. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild stuff.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So, and take good care of that little goddess that you've got. And I know you are.
I am.
Just cherish her, and she's a miracle. She's truly a miracle.
Oh, yeah. She really is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, and we'll see you again. I know you call in the astrology show sometimes too, so.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you out there. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Thanks, Camille.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, what an amazing end to the show. We started off with Denise Carrigg, and we talked about life coaching and the reformation of the Catholic faith in her own life as it relates to a spiritual path and a spiritual path where she helps other people. We then transitioned into Sarah Nash, the Cosmic Cooker, a.k.a. Jesus Crisis. We talked about what she's doing and the power of group healing and intention through the White Light Express. And then, improvisationally, we segued into Hugh Traulson, who apparently has some very interesting thoughts and ideas and philosophies around sacred economics and the transparency of economics as it relates to our spiritual domain. And then finally, Camille, with the amazing story of the immaculate delivery. She did not know she was pregnant. She was taking a bath. She'd gone for a bike ride, and after she came back from the bike ride, I know her story. She was taking a bath, and her water broke in the bath, and then within 5 hours, she had a child. Wrap your head around that. And so we end our show with the immaculate delivery of her baby, who is an expression of the divine feminine. Little baby girl, doing fine and growing and evolving through a very interesting time that we're all sharing together here on this planet. So you've been listening to that's my Wednesday. You've been listening to the Friday FARcast. I'm Robert Phoenix, and I'll be back on Monday with the Monday mashup. And I think I'm going to bring my buddy, Charles, a.k.a. Mark Daniels, on the show, and we'll talk about his record a little bit and what it's like to make a record, put time and money into making a record, and to be a singer-songwriter and what that's all about. A troubadour at the end of time. That's Mark Daniels. All right, have a great weekend. We're still squaring up here with the Sun in Cancer, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Aries. T-square out there. Drive safe, and do your best to discern what's real, and use your mind to discern what's real, and your heart to open what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix, and I'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.